Hello, CEA members. This is the second video in our series on knowing your contract. Today, I want to talk to you about a topic that has raised many concerns with at least the current budget issues, the reduction in force or the RIF process. This is outlined in Section 3.19 of our collective bargaining agreement with the Camas School District. It's important for you to know that this process is designed to be clear, structured, and fair. The contract outlines the layoff and recall on pages 60 through 63. The RIF process may be initiated if the school board of directors adopts a reduction in educational programs. This could happen for reasons like budget cuts, as we're currently going through, or other program changes. A new school is brought in, a school is eliminated. The agreement states that when a reduction occurs, the district identifies the staffs necessary to implement the new reduced program using the procedures detailed in our contract. In Section 3.19, it says, in the event the board of directors adopts a reduced educational program, those teachers and other certificated employees who will be retained to implement the district's reduced or modified program will be identified by using a procedures outlined in this article being the contract, this section of the contract. So how does the district determine staffing needs and reductions? The first steps involves identifying any known vacancies due to retirements, resignations, or other departures by May 1st. This is key to identifying and minimizing the impact on our current employees. The contract also states that provisional employees will be the first to face non-renewals in compliance with Washington state law, starting with those on the P1 list. However, those employees may be reinstated for openings they qualify for in the next year. Here's the language in the contract. Provisional employees, by statute, shall be non-renewed by May 15th, beginning with proposed reductions first in P1 employee list, second in P2 employee list, and third in P3 employee list, depending on the depth of the proposed staffing and/or program reductions. So what is a provisional teacher? This has come up multiple times. Well, I'm a continuing teacher. My contract says continuing. You're a provisional employee if you have less than 3 years experience in the state of Washington, or this is your first year teaching in Camas, regardless of your experience in Washington State. So a case where this might be you've taught in Evergreen for 10, 20, 30 years. This is your first year in Camas. You are a provisional educator. So there are two types of contracts that are given out. And whether you're provisional or not provisional, meaning you have more than 3 years or you have more than a year in our district, you're on a continuing contract. Continuing contracts are the most common contracts. We do have a few contracts that would be 1-year contract, and they have very specific rules on how a 1-year contract is given out. Number one, you're on a leave replacement. Somebody went on medical leave. Somebody took a year off to take care of family. Somebody is doing their administrative internship and they took a leave of absence. Those would all grant a 1-year contract, meaning that at the end of the school year, we assume that member is coming back and therefore your contract would end. The second would be if you were hired after the first day of school. So if we open another section at first, second, third grade level, and we had to hire additional teacher to do that, but that happened after school started, that would get you a 1-year contract. Meaning that at the end of the year, that contract is ended. Doesn't mean that you can't come back. You would have to reapply for a position. But you're only here for 1 year. So everyone in our district, unless you meet one of those two categories, has a continuing contract, provisional or non-provisional. All right. The next thing that the district's going to look at is our vacant positions. Are vacant positions filled by transferring current employees or staff members within the district, provided they meet the necessary certificates, trainings, and experience. For those who may face a layoff, the district considers factors like seniority, certification, and professional experience. This is where it may get tricky especially at the secondary level in our CBA, because there are specific requirements for high school graduation, and so we have to offer specific classes so that students have a way to graduate. So if there's a specific position in which an employee who's lower in seniority is the only employee with that certificate, they may stay when somebody higher than them is let go. So while we look at seniority as the biggest cut, if somebody below that seniority holds the certificate for a class that we have to offer for students to graduate, that position or training, if there's nobody above them that also has it, that could possibly have them staying and people above them leaving or being riffed. The process is set up to be clear. It's set up to be fair, but we all know that a riff is emotional. We're all, we work together, we work with peers. We all have different jobs, even if we're teaching in the same school. It's all, a little different, from a specialist to a third grade teacher to a kindergarten teacher to a high school teacher. We all have a lot to offer, and this is going to be hard. All right. The other thing that our contract allows for is if somebody was thinking about taking a leave of absence, i.e. they wanted to stay home with a child, they needed to take care of a family member, they just wanted to step out of the classroom for a year, and had that as a possibility, in their budget. Not something I could do, but staff members who have at least 1 year of experience is invited to apply for a 1-year leave of absence without pay prior to termination of any certificated employee. It has to go through the leave of absence provisions within our contract. But if someone higher in the seniority list was interested in taking a leave of absence, that should be approved this year if there is a RIF, to allow for others within the bargaining unit to stay, i.e. not get RIFed. Now, by no means am I saying, please go take a leave of absence. This is only if you were considering it. It's something maybe you've thought about, you want to go write the next great book or something else. You could not get a job in an education within the state of Washington, so you couldn't leave here and go work for Evergreen for a year and then come back. if you were to go and apply for a job in another school district within the state, your contract would be terminated and you would not have the ability to come back. So this is only if you wanted to do a non-educational thing for a year. All right. One more thing. In cases where layoffs are unavoidable, that means we have layoffs this year, affected employees who are placed in an employment pool, which means these employees are given first priority to sub in our district or for reemployment. They would have to go through the list of seniority. If you qualified for a job that came open and you were at the top of the list, you would get that first right of refusal for that position. So you would be called back before somebody new is hired. While no one in our district wants to face a RIF, our collective bargaining agreement ensures the process will be fair, transparent, and adhere to seniority and qualifications. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to your CA leadership. We are here to support you every step of the way. We thank you for your dedication to our students and community. Together, we'll navigate these challenging times with resilience and unity. If you have any questions, please reach out to any member of the exec board or your building reps as we start to move forward. Remember that May 15th is the date that they have to notify us that they're not renewing our contracts. But they are allowed to do it before that. Yeah, if you have any questions, please reach out. Have a great day.